So in Halo 3, there has been a cutscene room that I've been trying to get into for years, and it's basically impenetrable. So, can we break into this hidden room? Let's get into it! So let's start with the first piece of information that you need to know. You never actually see this room in any cutscene, which means you probably didn't even know this room existed. Because every cutscene in Halo 3 is an in-game cutscene, they needed a way for the models to get from one area to the other. And instead of Bungie making something overly complex, they just made sure that there were rooms where Master Chief and the Arbiter could walk from one cutscene to another. Or maybe even this room was supposed to be something more. But regardless, it is located smack dab in the middle of the Citadel towards the end of the mission The Covenant. Now, technically there is a door that goes to this room and it's seen in the cutscene as well as when you play the actual game. However, when you get anywhere close to this door, it's actually the trigger for the cutscene. So you can't even touch this door really. And because it's located inside the Citadel, there's not really a way to access it. It's not really directly connected with anything that you could access as a player. Now, I first wanted to try to see if I could clip right through the wall, and the method that I was going to use was deployable cover launching. I figured if I could get through the wall, my plan was to get a piece of equipment called a deployable cover, do a deployable cover launch by looking straight down and throwing this piece of equipment as I'm jumping in the air, and then while this was happening, I was planning on having other players be dead at the same time. The hope was that if I could clip through the wall and go past these rooms, the other two players, if they got in the vicinity of it, would spawn in it. At least that was my hope. Deployable cover launching is not exactly predictable or easy, but to get this all set up, I basically just needed to get a deployable cover, and then at the scarab section, I was going to go outside the wall closest to this room.
Where'd my Hornet go, dude?
With this, I tried to line up as precisely as I could against the wall. There's a couple considerations that you need to make if you're going to go right through a wall with the deployable cover and not die immediately. You need to be close enough to the wall to be able to clip through it. If you're too far away, every time you launch, you'll just hit the wall and die. The room is on the other side of this wall towards the middle of the Citadel. There's probably a 50-foot distance that we have to travel to actually get in the room. So if you're too far off the wall, you basically have no chance. You won't ever clip through the wall. But after lining up my position, this was now the most crucial part. After you destroy the scarab, die immediately after you activate the thing that signals it's destroyed. Arms. And then you're gonna, once you spawn in, you're just gonna go to Fluff Alex.
Alright. I'm here.
Go to him. Just make sure you're up on him.
Yeah.
For this, we need both players that are not trying to deployable cover launch through the wall to be in the same exact spot. And the reason for this is because I'm using two computers by myself. It's going to be very difficult for me to throw a grenade and then deployable cover launch every single time. I know, I've done it in the past. But with two players, I have another attempt of someone being able to spawn in the room if I can clip through this wall and get close enough. But this was actually like a record setup, so we were already ready to do this.
So if I kill him every time, though, and you die every time, isn't it going to reset the checkpoint?
No, because I fail it a lot. I'm not dying immediately. And most of the time when I'm reverting to the last checkpoint, I'm actually flying in the air.
Oh.
Alright, ready?
Yep.
Man, if people... If I should just one day put a shot to me...
Did you finish that sentence, or... What the hell, dude?
Exactly what you said was going to happen. So, just as my brother described, we had a problem. When every player in the lobby dies a certain amount of times in a row, it automatically reverts back to the previous checkpoint, which means we would need at least 2 checkpoints to ensure that this wouldn't be constantly resetting. Now, luckily, there is a way to do that. Instead of destroying the scarabs for the first checkpoint, I was going to use my second player that I was also controlling to take a Hornet up to this spot on the Citadel. If that player gets out, it'll hit a cutscene overlay activation. And if you jump right back down after getting in your Hornet, you can actually flip it in midair and get back in it. After this, I sent my brother forward to get another checkpoint by destroying the scarabs. with the second player in position already, my brother died, and when he spawned in, he got a checkpoint with both those players in position. So now, even if we reverted back to the previous checkpoint, we'd still have a pretty good setup.
I like to say I'm kind of a badass when it comes to this.
All right, ready?
Yep.
I just need to delay a little bit each time. One last consideration that I forgot to mention that's kind of complex in pulling this off. When you revert to the last checkpoint, you have to give the two players off to the side a little bit of time to die. If you actually make it through the wall and pass the room, you'll be way far past before they can even spawn in. So by waiting a quarter to a half second each time for these players to throw the grenade and die, I should have pretty much perfect timing for them to spawn in the room if I can actually get through the wall. You spawn in?
No.
Oh my.
Wait. Why'd you slide over here? What the hell just happened?
I just killed you?
Yeah. I take a break and grab dinner. But she's gonna keep screaming at me. It's gonna piss me off.
I see the room. I landed on top of it dead. Dude, I'm just getting good though. I'm just like getting close now.
I don't want to hear a shrill voice yelling in my ear anymore.
Okay, hold on. After this attempt. Alright, one more.
One more, dude. One more.
When my brother and I were filming this, we were both at our mom's house, and she would not stop nagging us to come eat dinner. Now, this first session was pretty wildly unsuccessful. We got the bones for the setup, but we had already been doing this for an hour. I had already probably deployable cover launched 300 times. And before we figured out that Hornet solution with the double checkpoints, we probably had to set this up 6 different times. So we were making progress in the right direction, and we're hoping that the second session for this was going to be better. Well, spoiler alert, it wasn't, and nothing got done. Wasn't even really close. But instead of just showing repeat attempt after repeat attempt, I gave up on this completely for months. That is, until new Halo tricking tech was unlocked. And this new trick is called MSL. It stands for Momentum Storage Launch, and it was originally discovered by Hambone and Seductively last December, actually. Now, Hambone just released a tutorial on this, which I've been waiting for because I saw him in a comment section saying I will do a tutorial at some point for this, because I figured I might be able to apply it to get into this room specifically. Now, in this tutorial, he only really covers Halo Reach, but the gist of it is, when you can walk into a surface where you go slightly up and then fall back down, if you do this enough, you can eventually get stuck at the peak and not fall back down. This will put you in what is called a floaty state, and in this state, crouching builds momentum, so every time you teabag, you have more momentum. Now, I hadn't seen anybody try this in Halo 3 specifically with a ghost, but I did notice in this video that Hambone provided, he used a ghost in Halo Reach, so I figured why couldn't I just apply this to what I needed? But first, I needed to test this to see if it was possible. So there's a program called Halo Checkpoint Manager where you can have an overlay while you play campaign. And in this overlay, there is an option to check a display 2D game information field. If you check this box, you'll be able to see your X, Y, Z. And this is what we can use to determine whether or not we are actually building momentum and doing this successfully. The plan was to test this out, and if I could do it successfully, then run it back in real time in a non-modded game. Now, I got this set up successfully in like 2 minutes the first time I tried it, but I wasn't even recording at this time because I figured, well, I'll just go in and figure it out. But I didn't expect to get this so easily. So I crouched about 700 times, plus, maybe. It's a lot. It was a lot of crouching. I also clicked on invulnerability to see just how far this would take me and where exactly it was taking me on the map. I didn't want to just keep splattering over and over, having no idea where I was even going. And what I found was, hey, this pushed me right to the bottom of the map pretty consistently. If I could just set this ghost up outside of that wall in a way that the momentum is taking me in the direction of the wall, I could probably just go right through it. And there is an invincibility from the Brute Chieftain earlier in the mission, so I would have a way to survive this. But now that I figured it out the first time, I needed to make sure that I could do this a second time, and I wanted to confirm that it was as easy as it was the first time. However, The next time, it took me 25 minutes to get this set up again, because I didn't really know what I was doing. But I found out if you take the ghost basically anywhere and line up on one of the tips of its wings, you can kind of look towards the back end butt of the ghost, and then you're going to slightly tap forward on the part of the ghost that you can't walk straight up, which is pretty much only at the tip by this little red marker. If you tap this and fall back down, well then that's the right spot. Eventually, if you get stuck, you will be in the floaty state. At this point, all I had to do was crouch a million more times to build up all that momentum, and initially I was lining up my ghost to try to go right through the wall. However, when I did this, I just kept going in the ground. I didn't know why. This went on for like 10 minutes until I went back and watched Hambone's tutorial, and he specifically says that MSL builds downward momentum. So that means in order to get into the room, I would have to take the ghost on top of the room. Now luckily there's an area that's completely secluded from the scarab shooting you that is right above the room. And there's a perfect wall here that I can set up at MSL by putting the tip of the wing against the wall. Now in this part, I didn't realize when I was recording I didn't have my face cam, so that's the reason I just kind of disappeared. But in the real run through, I was able to get this set up again pretty easily. Now that I was in the MSL state, all I had to do was crouch a ton of times. I wanted to make sure that I was actually getting through this, so I'd rather have more momentum than needed than less momentum than possible. No fucking way, dude. Oh! I actually did it! Finally! I finally got in this fucking room. It took me forever, dude. Wow. Oh no.
Both scarabs down. Well done.
I did not realize that the second that you went towards the door, it hit the next load zone and then loaded in the next room. I wanted to explore this room in its current format, and I knew the load zone would prevent that. However, I did not realize it actually loads the next section of the mission. Bro, you can just straight up walk in here before the freaking elevator even comes up. I didn't realize this door actually opened before the cutscene. That's crazy. I just realized there's actually 2 elevator platforms. One at the top and one at the bottom. It's so beautiful. This hall is so much wider than the normal hallways. Where the Prophet of Regret is. So I guess this is the other way to... I've gotten down here before by double head jumping, grab lifting, grab hammering, and a combination of jumping off equipment, but I didn't realize you could just walk into this room if you got into that room. And then this little hallway or hole. This is the same hole as the one that you see in the cutscene from upstairs. Yeah, I want to go back one more time. You have to be crouching. Well, it appears I just got lucky that last time. Oh, no, good. Alright, let's take a look. You can just see over this whole thing. Now, let's see if I go backwards. What happens when I look at the door? Bam. Right back in.
Well done.
So, just realized that my face cam wasn't on for the whole second portion. But I finally made it in this room after years and years and years of lackluster attempts, and I think I might have found the easiest way to get in here yet. Just go take a ghost up there, park it along the side, crouch about 5,000 times over the course of 5 minutes, and then you could just tap the ghost and you'll be right in here. Oh man, I thought I'd never make it. Now I never have to try to get in here again. This is the new meta. No deployable cover launches, none of that crap.